Hello, and welcome to reading the Meta Privacy Policy so that you don't have to. This segment is provided to you by Termageddon.com. We provided over 10,000 auto-updating privacy policies for our clients and have read hundreds of privacy policies in the meantime. Please note that the following information is not legal advice. So why is it important to read the privacy policy of Meta? So it's really important to read the privacy policy of any services that you sign up for because privacy policies affect your privacy because they state what information is being collected, what is done with that information, who it's shared with, things like that. And it also affects your privacy rights. So you should read the privacy policy of any service that you sign up for prior to actually signing up. So what personal information does Meta collect? I don't think anybody will be surprised by the fact that they collect a lot of personal information. So they collect content that you create, your likes, your comments, and any audio that's included in your posts or content. Content provided through the camera feature. So for example, your videos or your photos that you upload, the messages that you send and receive, including their contents. Meta does say that those contents are end-to-end encrypted, meaning that they don't have access to the actual contents of the message, but that information is still being collected. Metadata about content and messages. So instead of the actual contents of the message, this is information about when you sent the message, when you read a message, when you replied to a message, things like that. The types of content, including ads that you view or interact with and how you interact with them. So for example, if you click an ad or you like an ad or you comment under an ad, things like that. Apps and features that you use and what actions you take in them. Purchases or other transactions that you make, including your credit card information. So for example, if you buy something on the Instagram e-commerce store, your credit card information will be collected. Any hashtags that you use, the time, frequency, and duration of your activities on Meta products. So for example, if I spent half an hour on Facebook today, Meta would know that information. Or if I logged into Facebook 3 times today, it would know that information as well. Information about religious views, sexual orientation, political views, health, racial or ethnic origin, philosophical beliefs, or trade union membership. So that is very sensitive information that could be collected if you do post that online on Meta. What's important and interesting here is that they say that this information might not be collected or may not be used based on the privacy laws and the privacy protections that certain residents of certain countries or states are provided. So it's very unclear as to whether that information is actually being collected. Information about your friends, followers, groups, accounts, Facebook pages, etc. So this would probably include your account information like your name, email, age, things like that as well. It also collects your contacts information. So if you choose to upload your list of contacts from your device, they will collect the name, email, and address of those contacts as well. They also make inferences based on your activity, and they also collect device information. So what device and software that you're using. So for example, are you using an Apple or an Android device? Identifiers, GPS location, camera access, photos, IP address, and information from cookies and other similar technologies. What's kind of creepy here is that they do collect whether or not your mouse is moving. So that's interesting. And they also don't really specify what information from cookies is being collected or what other similar technologies are being used. And then lastly, it says information may also be obtained from third-party sources. So for example, if you go onto a website and they have a meta pixel on that website and you click on that particular ad, that information would be tracked. It would also track information from apps that you use, which doesn't really specify whether those are meta apps or other apps, games that you play, and how you use partner products. But it doesn't really say what those partner products are, or what games they're actually collecting the information from. So that's a little bit confusing as well. One thing that Meta does say in their privacy policy, which is slightly creepy as well, if you do not use Meta products or use them without an account, your information may still be collected. So let's say I've never had a Meta account, I've never used Facebook, I've never used Instagram or any of the other Meta products, my information could still be collected by Meta and used and stored by them as well. Usually, this would happen if I click on an ad and it has a pixel firing or something like that. So, really, there's no way to kind of prevent Meta from collecting your information because their products are everywhere. And if you click on a product or an ad that's being tracked or anything like that, Meta would still collect information from you. So it's really hard to get away from Meta if you do want to do so. So, how does Meta use your information? So, they use it to provide personalized and improved Meta products, promote safety, security, and integrity, provide measurements, analytics, and business services. I think that's a little bit deceptive because analytics and business services usually means ads in the context of Meta. And they do show that in an image, but it doesn't really say that in the policy. To communicate with you and then to research and innovate for social good. You'll see in the further slides that we have here is that research is mentioned a couple times, but it's a little bit of a black box because it doesn't exactly explain who these researchers are or what they're trying to explain, trying to study apart from social good. So does Meta share your personal information? So yes, it does. It shares personal information with a lot of third parties. So it shares your information with people and accounts you share and communicate with. So if I make a post and that post is available to my friends to view, that post will be shared with them. People and accounts when your information is shared with others or reshared. So if somebody else makes a post about me or reshares a post about me, that information is shared with them as well. With the public, when content is posted publicly, so you can choose whether or not your posts are shown publicly or to your friends only, or whether those posts are hidden completely. So if you choose public, then that would be available to the public. They also share information with integrated partners when you use an integrated partner's products or services. Those are Meta apps. So if you use a Meta app, your information will be shared with those apps. Advertisers and audience network publishers, not a surprise there since Meta makes a lot of their money off of advertisements. Partners who use the Meta Analytics services. So if you go onto a website and it uses Meta Analytics, then your information will be shared with them. Partners who offer goods or services on Meta products and commerce services platforms. So again, if you buy something on Instagram, your information will be shared with that commerce provider. Measurement vendors. So those are vendors that aggregate data and provide analytics reports. Marketing vendors. It also shares information with service providers for research and surveys to thwart suspicious activity, facilitating payments, and providing technical infrastructure services. And it also shares information with external researchers. Not too much information as to who these external researchers are. I was unfortunately not able to find a list of all the third parties that Meta shares data with. Probably would be impossible to create that list since they do share data with so many different categories of third parties. But that's something that's interesting as well. Does Meta sell your personal information? So their privacy policy says that they do not sell personal information. But some legislators and some privacy laws have said that selling personal information does not mean just, receiving money in exchange for personal information. So I take an email list and I sell it to a third party and they pay me X amount. Some legislatures say that selling personal information means sharing it for any kind of gain, whether or not it's monetary, which advertising would be considered, gain because they get a lot of money for advertising. So they say they don't sell personal information, but they definitely use it for commercial purposes to gain revenue from advertisers. It also says that it requires partners and other third parties to follow rules about how they can and cannot use and disclose personal information. So ostensibly thinking that those rules are actually being followed and that Meta enforces those rules, that would mean that your information would be protected if it is shared with those third parties. So what privacy rights does Meta provide? So it provides the right to access the information that they've collected about you, the right to change your ad preferences, the right to portability, meaning that you can take the information from Meta and send it to another provider, and the right to delete your information or your account. What's interesting here is that they don't exactly spell out the fact that you have the right to correct your information. But if you go into their privacy policy and navigate to how can you manage or delete your information and exercise your rights, there are different settings within your account where you can change the information that's within your account as well. How long does Meta store your data? So Meta says that they store data as long as it's needed to provide their products, which makes sense. That's what you signed up for. Comply with legal obligations. That makes sense as well. And protect their interests. So protect their interests isn't really defined. And to me, that says that they could keep their information for as long as they want to because it quote unquote protects their interests. It also says that Meta decides how long to store information on a case by case basis. This one's really hard to believe with billions of people using Meta. It's hard to believe that they take a look at every single account to decide how long they store your data on a case by case basis. So I'm not sure if this is correct, but it does seem a little bit suspicious. It also says that Meta shares information globally anywhere Meta products are available and to other countries where their partners, vendors, service providers, and other third parties are located. Doesn't really define who those third parties are, so that's a little bit suspicious as well. There's no list of countries where they actually transfer that information, but that's probably impossible as well. So it's probably best to assume that they would share your information worldwide, wherever they need to send it at any particular time. So yeah, so that's a quick rundown of the Meta privacy policy. Hope that you found this useful.